Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Photography Pubcast. This is season 4, episode 14. Now, we're near the end. We're near the end because we don't normally make it past about 16, by the way. So we're near the end of the season. So, get us while you can. There's 5 of us here this week. There's no Daz this week and there's no Adam. We so nearly had Adam, but unfortunately he's jet lagged from his journeys. So there's no Adam, and we're not here next week because of the photography show, and just not going to have enough time to edit it all. So, but hopefully we'll be back the week after. Anyway, how are we all?
Good.
Yeah. Dare I ask if we've been up to anything over the last couple of weeks, or am I going to get told off, Dave?
I don't. I'm just going to get this every week now, aren't I?
Well, we need an update from Stu, don't we?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Where are you, Stu?
I'm in Lofoten. Not that you can tell from this rather dull background, but I'm in Lofoten. I'm up to Christ. I've been here just over a week, and I finish on Monday morning. Been here a while. And then I was in Harris doing a workshop with Mark Littlejohn the week before, so I'm pretty. I'm looking forward to getting home, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's been good. Can't complain. Certainly can't complain.
Yeah. Oh, I see you've had some terrible conditions again. You posted on X. I thought that those northern lights looked shockingly bad.
Oh, well, I mean, this is the second time I've been here, and I never really come here with the idea of shooting the aurora. I just look at it as a bit of a bonus, really. I've very little experience of doing anything with that, but yeah, it's actually worked out pretty well because I've missed the snow. It's actually really quite mild up here. We've been stuck under like a high pressure for about the last week basically. So it's about 3 or 4 degrees every day, which is really mild for up here, and the snow's melting away. But the advantage of that is with the clear skies, it's meant that quite a few nights the aurora's been out, and 2 of them. I mean, the first night we went out to shoot it went absolutely bananas. I'm told by more experienced aurora shooters than me that was a pretty special event, because I believe you could see it pretty clear back in the UK as well. So it was nuts up here.
Oh yeah, the aurora over Luton was just stunning, absolutely stunning.
Smog.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Adam had been here, I mean, look at this podcast. We got Stu in Lofoten. Would have had Adam in Canada, just in from the Antarctic. We've got Dave on the beautiful island of Anglesey. We've got Sam up in the Highlands of Scotland, and then there's me and you, Jamie.
Yeah. The beautiful flat fin.
Yeah, the beautiful flat East Anglia.
I was almost in Lofoten. If Scandinavian Airways weren't such bastards, I would have been on a flight out. I'd have been there now. But they wanted an obscene amount of money for a last minute booking.
Okay. I would also have been in Lofoten if I wasn't poor, and had a wife who wouldn't let me out of the house for more than 20 minutes. I got recognised. I got recognised again. I just want to say,
oh, wow.
I mean, does my week get any better? So, firstly, I got recognised twice at Hong Fen, Jamie, didn't we? Yeah, I mean they know you because you're the king of Hong Fen. But there was Tom and Rupert, so hello to you, and obviously Sheila, hello to you. But I was in Winchester on Wednesday, just in Winchester, randomly in Winchester, because my daughter was having an interview at the university there, and some guy, in fact, I've got his name here because I wrote it down, made a note of it. John Galt from Sweden, no less, collared me in the street. I'm doing a bit of photography, and he comes up to me and says, "Excuse me," and I was like, "Oh God." He's going to go, have you just taken a photo with me? He went, "You're for the podcast, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." And he went, "Oh, I really enjoy that." I said, "Oh, brilliant, excellent, good work." And he said, I said, "Well, I'll definitely give you a shout out." So, hello, John. Thank you very much for the for coming up and saying hello. So, yeah.
Thank you for making Gary's year.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's fantastic. So yeah, that was really good. I have to say as well, thank you to Kevin O'Brien for the thanks that he gave us this week. Very much appreciated, Kevin. It goes a long way. So thank you.
Is that much. Kevin O'Brien from Gwynedd?
I don't know.
Okay. If it is, hi Kev, he's a top guy.
Yeah. And if it isn't,
we
anyway.
Went out on. If it's the one I'm thinking of, we once walked to the summit of Rennig Vawr for Remembrance Sunday, because there's a memorial plaque on the summit to a bomber crew that crashed on a training exercise. And Nick Livesey led us up there, and so Kevin came along. We had a cracking day out. Nice chap.
Yeah.
If it's not that Kevin, just cut this bit out.
Well, I won't know, will I? How am I going to know?
Well, do some research.
Okay. But either way round, it is still, thank you very much, whatever Kevin you are, Yeah, it's very kind of you. So has anyone else got anything to report about there, because we've been off a couple of weeks, haven't we? Anyone else doing anything exciting in the last couple of weeks?
I made a video.
Yes, indeed you did. Indeed you did. And
that's quite an unusual event.
Very nice it was, Dave.
It was good. You. Really good.
Yeah, you got some
It was
nice shots.
bit parky, I've got to be honest.
Oh, you didn't mention
colder
it.
Than bloody Lofoten.
You didn't mention it on the video, Dave.
I was trying to be stoic. I decided to keep the mentions to a minimum. Unfortunately, when I got home, I didn't have any footage that didn't include a mention.
Yeah, it's like, hello, I'm Dave. It's cold. I'm here at Linda. It's cold, by the way. It's cold. Did you know it's cold? All my fingers. No, it was good. It was good though. Some cracking shots, Dave. Really nice. Really, really nice.
Cheers.
So
thank you very much.
Yeah.
You've had a few videos out as well, Gary.
Well, yeah. I'm just
piling them out.
I'm just ploughing them out now. Well,
I like to think of them as being vomited out.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. I think that's quite appropriate. Yeah. There's some really nice, good stuff in there, though.
Yeah, amongst all the boring stuff, there's
amongst the chunks.
Yeah. There's some. Obviously, there was. I enjoyed making that one about the guy who called me boring. So thanks very much, Michael. I got to say this, right? I have to say this, Michael. Although you thought I was boring, it drove me to record a video that got 2,500 views, Michael. So thank you very much for that little bit of income. Yeah. So
every clown
has a silver lining. So I've been putting a few videos out. It's been good. What about you, Sam? What have you been up to?
Do you know, I've not really been up to anything lately. Everything's just been breaking. So I was saying to Jamie just before we started recording, I think I'm in the middle of some kind of Egyptian curse or something, because I've had both cars die. One of them died 3 times. The other one's had to be scrapped. I've had the roof started leaking. My hard drive failed. What else has happened? Hot water broke. Literally all within like the space of a few weeks. So it's been one of those periods. So it's everything's going great apart from that. So. But we won't talk about hard drives.
But on the plus side, you haven't been misgendered.
No, I haven't. No.
Your pronouns are intact.
Yes,
my pronouns are fully intact, all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. It is scary though, because you said, "Oh, my roof's leaking and my car's broken down, and my house has fallen to pieces, and there's a massive sinkhole opened up outside." And the one thing that I went is, you went, "Oh, my hard drive's gone." No, that's the worst of them all. Everything else is like, "Oh, we'll fix that." Hard drive's gone. Oh no.
Well, fortunately, I haven't lost any data, so we're okay. But it's a bit of a wake up call as to how important the backup system needs to be. So.
Yeah, which we may or may not talk about in a little while.
I wouldn't. I mean, at one stage we were going to have Adam talking about his trip to Antarctica. I don't think we can really replace that with how to store your backup files.
No, probably not.
True.
Probably not. Anyone, Jamie, you got anything to report? We had a good time at Home Fen.
I had a lovely morning at Home Fen, yes, with some nice company.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure. We had a bit of mist, a bit of fog, not as much as we'd like, but it was a beautiful morning, wasn't it? Really nice. And just the fact that I grabbed those two random fellas and told them to come and say hello to you just to make you feel happy was great. Yeah, I'm pleased you appreciated it.
You see, I know that's not true because I saw Rupert again. So when I went to Hong Fen back again, and what a lovely guy, by the way, Rupert. What a lovely guy, and a good photographer as well. As is Tom.
Absolutely.
Let's not forget Tom as well. I don't want to leave Tom out. So anything else, Jamie, you want to report?
No, not doing anything else at all.
No?
My normal stuff, sitting in this chair. So, nothing exciting. You'll see I've slightly turned around my desk because, as I say, I spent half my life in this chair, in this position. So I just thought I'd rotate my desk by 45 degrees just to give me a little bit of a different environment to work in. So, slightly different background,
It's a bit disappointing because I've got no idea what time it is now.
No, exactly. I was thinking that as well. But I'm really keen to know what those doors open out to. It's like a massive drawing room. Open it out.
He's got a couple of cheeky girls in there.
No, I reckon you open up those.
It's going to burst open.
I reckon you open up those doors and there's a whole dinner party going on in the background. Like from sort of 1920s, sort of Downton Abbey type thing going on in the background.
I reckon it's Darren sat in his chair.
Sorry to disappoint you.
Could be Darren, couldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be funny, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Turns around with a pipe. All right, okay. So let's move on to some comments, shall we? Now, Jamie and Dave. Oh, didn't you get into trouble? Oh, understory. Turns out it's real. Understory. It's a real botanical term, and it's very, very well known.
At no point. Me as a fella, at no point to answer the question which was asked was it asked whether the term was correct or not. It was which terms wind you up, and that was my answer. Was that the term of using understory wound me up? I never claimed it was right or wrong or used in the correct sense. It was just the fact that it wound me up, and it still does.
Yeah.
Why don't people use undergrowth or forest floor or the rest of it? I'm not disputing the fact that it's a correct term, and the people that use it, far more educated than me, are using it in the correct context, I'm sure. Yep. But it still doesn't change the fact that, for me, it's like, well, it's a bit pretentious. Just call it the forest floor, really. So just to defend myself in that position.
To be fair, they did generally pick on Dave rather than you, to be fair. Because Dave said, ask Susie Dent, and she'll go, I ain't got a clue. And so they've gone in for Dave. They've gone in big time for Dave on the understory. So now we know.
So am I now expected to justify myself in some way, or shall I just reiterate what I've said in previous weeks, that they're mistaking me for somebody who gives a shit?
I think that'll do. it. So lots of those. We did have a lovely comment from someone, which I need to find. I do it every week. It's every week now. Yeah, so Ken Harness said, yeah, see, seamless. No one would ever know. We just spent 4 minutes looking for that. So Ken Harness said, great stuff, but I think some changes should be made. Do you, Ken? Do you really? He says, first, Dave needs to do the introduction. And then Jamie, Sam and Stuart need to have their own segments as they seem unable to get a word in between Gary and Darren's banter. Right, fine. Well,
sounds like quite a good idea to me, actually.
Yeah, go on. Talk away.
Yeah. Well, definitely, I think Dave should do the intros. That would be brilliant. I think that's a great idea because they'd just be done really quickly.
Yeah, but the point of this is two things, Ken. Two things. One, this whole hosting is not as easy as it looks. Yeah, it might look easy, but a lot of probably 5 minutes worth of preparation goes into this for a start, and then it's an art. I was saying today, it's an art form. And secondly, if I'm not the host, I have no validity being on here. There's no point me being on here, so I have to do it. Otherwise, they'll kick me off. So I hope you understand. For now, we're going to keep it as it is, Ken. And then we went on to ask a question, but we'll come back to that, or we might not, depending on how I feel. Now he's pissed me off. Not really, Ken. Not really. I'm only joking. So there were lots of comments about understories. A few comments about cats, obviously. Did you enjoy the cat things, Stuart? The cat's thinking meows. Did you?
This is last week.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it last week.
Yes, get in.
He's been in Lofoten all week. The last
I'm
thing he wants to do is
actually
watch the
here
podcast.
doing a job.
Oh, are you? Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'll let you off in that
Because
case.
you got to let me off with that. I've not watched anything.
Yeah.
Basically
Catch up when you come back. Trust me, it was.
I will do.
It was brilliant, Stuart. Really good.
It sounds brilliant.
Yeah. So there were lots of comments about that. Lots of comments about Understory. A few comments, telling me that I'm not doing my job very well. But other than that, it was really good. So thank you very much. And obviously, always keep the comments coming in because we really appreciate them. So, shall we move on to a topic? Shall we?
Why not?
Shall we? Which one should we do? Shall we? Come on, let's. It's International Women's Day today. Did you know that?
I didn't know.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it is International Women's Day. So to celebrate International Women's Day, we're going to talk about 7 men on the Kase filter stand at the photography show. Because that has gone down really well. So basically, okay, if you don't know, there's 7 photographers who are representing Kase as brand ambassadors, I assume. Stu, is that what you call yourself, a brand ambassador?
Apparently so.
Yeah, on the Kase stand at the photography show, and Kase put out a little advert on Instagram with a picture of them all, and they happen to be 7 white men, and that's caused a bit of a kerfuffle, shall we say, with people asking, "Where's the diversity in this?" and "Where are all the women?" and "Oh, what a surprise! It's 7 white men." And also, someone saying, "Oh, what a surprise! They're all on YouTube," which, shut up. So I don't know what angle we want to come at this from, but it's I know it's very difficult, and I know before we get going, I know that people are going to write in and go, "Well, there's 5 white middle-aged men." Sorry, Sam, 5 white middle-aged men talking about it on.
You could apologise to me while you're at it and all.
Okay.
I'm senior.
Yeah, 3 white middle-aged men, one a bit younger, one a bit older.
It's an ageist comment.
No, not older, senior.
Bit more senior.
There's a ranking involved.
Yeah. Okay. But I know you're going to write in and say, well, of course you're going to say that because you're that. But let's just say, with regards to the Pubcast, because I'm just
Can I be somebody different?
you can be a woman if you want, apparently. I'm just.
Well, those,
I'm just getting this in now. We're not a brand, and we're all friends, and so it doesn't matter who we are.
Well,
yeah. But it doesn't matter who we are, does it? In that respect. So we are allowed an opinion. So we're going to express an opinion here that you might disagree with or you might agree with. So yeah, now we've got that out of the way. What do you think about it in terms of diversity and all this sort of conversation?
Jesus.
Well, I'll be brave and start off, will I? Before we all
well done
shoot ourselves in the foot, seeing as I'm the one with the most pronouns going on. But and also in our defence, I've tried very hard to get Hannah on the Pubcast, and she's refused. Although having said that, she did say if you guys do a meetup up here, she will join us for a Pubcast. So that's enough impetus to get you guys up here.
There you go. That's the deal.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where. So my personal view on it is, yeah, I understand people's concerns with that advert. I mean, that's my own opinion on it is that I do think that brands should be pushing to have a more equal sort of representation. Having said that, I noticed there were quite a few comments of people sort of saying, "Oh, they're going to boycott Kase as a result of it." And I don't know, but I've not looked into it. But I don't know what the other filter brands are. Let's say there's only probably 3 or 4 big filter brands going to be at the photography show, and have they all got equal representation? So is it by boycotting Kase? You're limiting yourself to 3 other filter brands. It just seems silly in a way to boycott them for that reason per se, but I do think that it's good to highlight the issue. Having said that, so far as I'm aware, Kase do have. In fact, I'm friends with one of their pro partners who's female. They have brand ambassadors over in the US. As far as I'm aware, they do have diversity on their team. It's just that it might be down to availability and who can make it on the day. So yeah, absolutely, there is an argument to be had there of saying that I think brands should be pushing it, especially in our field, which is very dominated, I think, by middle-class white men. Let's face it. It's nice to have more representation where possible, and it's something that brands should be pushing for. But then the reaction to it as well, I think, was possibly a bit reactive in some cases. But it's good to highlight it. That's my own personal opinion on it. As a he, him, that, what, why, who.
Yeah. I'm going to tread very carefully, but I'm going to say
Look
that,
at us tackling the big talking points of the day. Who else is doing this?
Well, no. Well, they're all too scared, Stu. I'm going to say that you've got people on here who are saying, "Well, I was considering buying Kase filters, but now I've seen that lineup, I'm definitely not going to." Whilst probably tapping away the message on a phone that was produced by some 7-year-old Chinese girl in a sweatshop. Do you know what I mean? It's the hypocrisy is unbelievable for me in that respect. Yes, I agree, and I actually posted on this, and I said that yes, that it could be a more diverse panel of representatives. There are. I believe that Kase did ask some women to come, some random women. No, some female photographers to be there, but they weren't available. And they are there. They are ambassadors, but they weren't available, which explains why a couple of the guys are there probably. So, I don't necessarily have an issue in that respect. And I do think that it should be, I do think brands should be a bit more diverse. But again, what is their number one target market really? Who if you took the spectrum of people who are landscape photographers in the UK, what's the demographic? What is overwhelmingly the demographic? It's overwhelmingly men of our age, right? Okay, so represent that on the stand. I don't see there being a problem with that. Yeah, all right. Have a member of an ethnic minority who's a photographer. Have a couple of women who are photographers, but represent what's actually there. Represent what's there. So that's what I would say. And we're going to get shot down for this conversation without a doubt. But
yeah,
I think
I'm not sure I agree.
We're a bit of an. Do you not?
No, just to throw in an argument, but yeah, no, I mean, I kind of think that if there's a field like landscape photography which is underrepresented, is part of that because there's a barrier for people getting into it because it is all.
Do you think?
I think to some extent there is. Yeah, I think it might put a lot of people off getting into landscape photography because it is so overly dominated by middle-aged white men. So I think there is an argument for pushing a little bit more diversity in the public-facing side of things to make it seem more inclusive. But then I'm a millennial woke person, so there we go.
God, the thing is, though, it's not a team sport. If somebody wants to get a camera and go and stand in front of a mountain and take pictures of it, it doesn't require you to be stood alongside a bunch of crusty old middle-aged men like us.
No.
You can just go do it. But they choose not to, for the most part. And the ladies that I've worked with, and I've worked with quite a few ladies who are extremely talented photographers, quite frankly, wouldn't care less about it. Their attitude would be, well, it just is what it is. Somebody writes in because they've got an agenda and it's easy to hide behind whatever smartphone device they're hiding behind, so they can go, "That's outrageous! I'm not going to buy Kase." Tappity tappity tap. Oh no, it's all his thumbs bollocks, isn't it, these days? And they're making a political point at a very easy target. I think you make a really good point, Sam. It would be great if we could encourage more diversity into photography. I totally agree with you on that. But I also think that this particular spat is just being triggered by the sort of people that get triggered. And it doesn't matter whether it's Kase filters, whether it's Canon bodies, whether it's anything under the sun. The first thing they do is get offended on behalf of other people who aren't offended. Because I know perfectly well that every single lady that I've been out with and worked with, and that's quite a few, I might add, they absolutely couldn't care less. Because they're not as stupid as these people, keyboard warriors, that decide to write in. And the bottom line is that you've got to feel sorry for the likes of Kase and any other manufacturer that wants to promote their brand, because, you know, they've got a limited gene pool from which to select in terms of ambassadors. I mean, if they were going to send me some free filters, I'll put a frock on and sashay about. No trouble at all. I'll do anything for a free filter.
What I was going to say really quickly before, because we need to let Stuart and Jamie have a word, but what I was going to say really quickly was, I don't look at JD Sports, right, when they put out their adverts and think, where are all the fat middle-aged men? Why aren't there fat middle-aged men in a JD Sport advert? No, but I don't. Why not? Because I'm not their demographic. They're not trying to sell tracksuits and trainers to me. They're trying to sell tracksuits and trainers to young, thin teens who like that stuff for their casual wear. I just think it's, and the other thing that, and I know what people are going to say. They're going to say, well, you would say that because it's white privilege and you're middle-aged and middle-aged white men rule the world. Why can't they just look at that and go, oh, there's 7 really good photographers there? Why does it have to be, oh, why aren't there any women there? Why aren't there any, you know, why is there no black representation? Why isn't there someone in a wheelchair? Why can't they just say, whoever they are, whatever colour their skin is, whatever gender they are, whatever their sexual orientation is, why can't they just say there's 7 good photographers there? Why can't we live like that?
And the first thing I thought when I saw that ad was, oh my goodness, 2/7 of their entire lineup are Pubcast regulars. Yeah. Happy days. Here we are. Yeah. Represent. Yeah.
Well, I think the Pubcast was overly represented, and maybe we should get a few more podcast people on the panel there just to balance it out a bit.
Well, but also we have tried to get more diverse representation on the Pubcast. Every single week we reach out to as many ladies as we can and we get knocked back.
Listen, I would have a panel full of women and me if I could. Believe me. Believe me, I'm that diverse.
You like a bit of virtual action, don't you?
As long as it's pixelated, Dave. Stuart, what have you got? What, come on, because you're on this, so you must be, you know, you've got a sort of very personal investment in this.
Well, I've got to be even more careful what I say, haven't I?
Yeah.
I mean, first off, looking at those, I'm inclined to agree with a lot of what Dave said. I think the comments some of them were frankly ridiculous, to be honest. And like he's saying there, I think there's people who, it doesn't matter whether it's filters or whatever, there's people out there who just want to be offended on behalf of other people because they enjoy doing that. I think there's definitely an element of that in there. Listen, I can't possibly put myself in the shoes of a woman because obviously I'm not a woman.
And they'd hurt as well, Stuart. They'd hurt.
I know.
High heels are terribly painful.
Oh, you'd know, do you?
Yeah.
Listen, there's a million areas of life where, you know, women are hugely disadvantaged, and absolutely, you know, diversity in those things should be championed. And I think Kase, when you look at who they've got on their sort of roster of photographers, if you look at if you were to take how many as a percentage, say, landscape photographers there are male, female, it's got to be 95.5, something like that. Do you know what I mean? So like Dave's saying there, it's a very small amount of female photographers that you've got to then pick from, and then you're into, well, how many of those females are actually of the required standard to be a brand ambassador or whatever it is? That's an even smaller pool. And then the other complication, which I don't think anyone's mentioned, is that I know several leading female photographers in this country who are already attached to other filter brands. So that makes it even smaller. And then you throw in the fact that obviously Kase have asked the other females to speak, and they obviously weren't available. And I'm not sure what they can do, really, to be honest, in that position. It's, I think when you look at how many people they've actually got on their books, is it a fair representation of males, females in landscape photography at the minute? They could probably get a few more, maybe, but I don't think they're that far off the mark with it. And then when you look, I think I don't know if it was you or Sam said about barriers. I mean, I look at there's loads of things in life where there's very clear barriers that make life more difficult for women to get into. But I look at photography, and are there that many barriers there? To be honest, I mean, I don't see a lot. I think there's obvious issues around safety, perhaps, where going into sort of isolated areas, woodlands, that sort of thing. I can totally see how, as a female, that would be possibly quite scary, intimidating, whatever. So that there's obvious barriers there. But I mean, in terms of like producing good work and getting to a required standard and all, I don't really see any sort of barriers there. And the female photographers who are at the top level in the UK, I think, get plenty of publicity and social media attention and everything anyway. So I'm not sure if photography is one of these things in life where there's a huge amount of barriers, to be honest.
I think you make a good point there, because it's fair to say that the top flight female photographers get a huge amount of respect and, may I say, some envy from plenty of male photographers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Where you look at their work and you think, oh my God, I wish I was half as good as this photographer.
Absolutely.
And you think in terms of them as a photographer, gender becomes utterly irrelevant.
Totally irrelevant. Totally, exactly. Yeah, and I've never looked at anything in photography really as a male-female thing. I just see it as all taking pictures. Whoever's taking it, should really matter in that sense. But I do totally agree with you, Dave, in the comments bit of that post. I think a couple of the people there were just looking to be offended, and you'll get people like that on social media every day of the week who do that. So yeah,
exactly. They just start an argument in an empty room. So you've got to look at it and go, okay, some people make a point very eloquently and in a measured way, and you have to respect that entirely. But when people just launch into it,
just argumentative,
all I can do is completely disregard them and laugh at them, because I have no interest in anything they might want to say about anything.
I was just going to say the tricky thing for Kase, obviously, in that instance, is that while you and me can just sort of turn off to that, because it's their official account, they have to actually respond in a professional manner or whatever, and they've got to treat an idiot like that with respect and all that, because if they do anything less than that, then they're seen as unprofessional as well. So I personally thought it was way over the top, to be honest. Anyway.
Yeah, I was going to pick up on that point particularly, Stu, because it's good going last in the conversation, because everything you guys have said I'm in agreement with and can't add to. But I think just making that particular point on the world or the society we live in, where this exists, where this diversity importance to major brands is from a corporate and a value perspective is really important to them. They can't ignore it. The business I work for is a global business, and we're dealing with global brands, respected global high street brands. And diversity over the last few years has been raised so far up the agenda Whereas in the past, it's always been, about price and quality and sustainability. But now it's around the diversity and ESG and code of conduct and how you manage yourself and your employees, your staff, your supply chain. And that whole, the brand value that's put on that metric is increased. So brands have to respect it. And in the market we live in, where social media helps to amplify their brand, they've got to pick up on anything that's in that environment that's pushed on social media that could impact their brand and could give them some negative points when it comes to diversity. They can't ignore it, unfortunately. Whether it's right or wrong, whether we agree with it or not, it's unfortunately the society that we're currently in. And I think that Kase as they are, I guess in the whole scheme of things, they're not a brand that would potentially have a team of people that are focused on diversity. No. The bigger the brands and the institutions, they've got a team that are looking at this and are very versed in terms of what to put out, how to position stuff, make sure when you're marketing, it's got the right diverse balance in it, but probably Kase haven't. So, that's just, it just underlines, as I say, where we are in the world at the moment and the importance that diversity is becoming in our everyday lives, whether we like it or disagree with it or not. It doesn't really matter. It exists.
Well, I think you're right, Jamie, but I also think fundamentally, in agreement with Sam, it's a really good thing. I'm old enough to have lived through kind of 2-3 phases of how the world operates in terms of diversity, whether it's gender, whether it's race or whatever. So when I first started my career, it was you were surrounded by dinosaurs. Funnily enough, me and the lovely Mrs. G were talking about it the other day, and she says, I used to work in an office. I was forever getting my arse pinched, and it was, you just had to put up with it. And, you couldn't turn around and smack them in the mouth because you're out of a job in seconds flat. And then we kind of went through this kind of late 90s, 2000s, where it was all a bit wishy-washy. It was sort of, well, we're not as archaic as the 70s and 80s, but we're really, we're almost just doing nothing. We're not doing the negative stuff, but we're not doing anything positive. And I think that the approach that sensible people have these days is valuable. I think that where minorities of any description were discriminated against and didn't have the same levels of opportunity, for us as a society now to say, actually, we recognise that. We've got a whole department whose job it is to make sure that we as an organisation, whatever that may be, we make sure that everybody gets a fair crack at the whip. I just think that the people that then go beyond that to these ludicrous extremes actually do no favours at all to those people who are, we as a white middle class minority. Oh, actually, no, it's a majority, isn't it? Oh, well, sorry. But the fact remains that if we as a society say, look, let's do something really proactive and positive to even up the scales a bit, which is kind of what we're saying. We now recognise it, and we don't do it grudgingly. We don't go, oh, bloody hell, we've had our arm twisted up our back. We better shape up. Actually, what we've done is we're genuinely more enlightened. And that isn't a bad thing at all. But I think that those people that then take it to the extremes and look for any excuse to piss on our chips need a good slap.
I think some people are doing it begrudgingly. Not here, obviously, but I think there's still a large number of people who are begrudging to minorities and don't like it. And I wish we could get to a point where we didn't see anything other than just, you're just a person, you're just a bag of skin. It doesn't matter. The rest of it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. It does matter.
But those people you mention, certainly in corporate circles, are fewer and far between. They've retired, they've shuffled off, they're 6 foot under. Yeah. They're dwindling. Yeah. And, I think that for the most part, certainly, I mean, I'm fortunate enough to still have all my hair and teeth, and I'm still in business 4 decades later. So I've kind of seen it change over the decades. But most of the people that I deal with now are not grudging, and I'm talking, I deal with people at board level in some, national size organisations, and they actually genuinely care about a fair and equitable workplace and a fair and equitable society. They're not having one arm pushed up behind their back to address diversity issues. They're doing it because it's the right thing to do. Sorry, I've hogged the conversation. I got on a soapbox there.
No, David, it's fine. It's fine.
I'm going to mute myself and eat some more nuts.
You're fine. I think what we'll do is we'll move on from this now. I think we've all had a bit of a
cut
say.
all that out.
No. We'll keep it in. I will have the final say on diversity, though. It's not the same. Not the same without Ashley Banjo. So anyway,
and Lynn, when you can be bothered to come on, it will help us.
But this is exactly what I was just about to say, actually, Jamie. And I genuinely mean this. Throwing this open to, if you're a female or if you're in any minority, and you want to come on and have a chat about this, then get in touch with me, get in touch with us, and we'll make it happen. We'll have a special on this whole thing. We'll talk about women in photography or whatever. I'm seriously, I'm genuinely serious about that. I'm not just, I know you think I'm joking.
You're so right on.
No, I know. I'd love to. So if you genuinely do, and you want to come and have your say, and if you think we're wrong, or if you think we're right, or if you've got something you feel, is a valid comment, then please either put it in the comments or feel free to get in touch and come on, and we'll do a special podcast on it. So yeah, it'd be great. It'd be really good. Right, so moving on. Before we move on, actually, I did want to say, so we're just talking about this in the little interval that you didn't see, but hello, Tom. Hello, Tom Peters. He's been commenting a little bit, and I haven't heard from him for a while, so it's good to hear from you, Tom, and I hope you're well.
Hi, Tom.
Hope everything's going well for you, and hopefully you'll be at the photography show. Oh, the photography show as well. Obviously, no, because this is the last one that's going out before the photography show. We'll be there on Sunday, so a week today, if you like. When this goes out, we'll be there. So if you want to come and say hello to me or anyone else, me or anyone else or me, feel free. It'll be great to see as many of you as possible.
Half of us will be manning the case stand.
They will. Yeah, 2-7.
What do you mean manning? Manning? That's outrageous.
Nicely done.
Let's move on to another topic here. We got one here from Ashley Kennedy, and I'm sorry, but you did put this in before, and we were going to talk about it, but we ended up not. So we will now. He says, "Do you consider photography a talent or a skill?" So I'm assuming what he's saying there is it innate or is it learned or is it a bit of both?
You're also assuming it's a chap.
Oh, God, yeah, I've assumed his gender. I've assumed your gender, Ashley. Oh, thanks.
What have we started here?
Oh, exactly.
Okay, I'm going to do that again because, we've also...
Don't. Jesus
Christ. It's fine, because I don't want to get into any trouble. We've had a comment. We've had a comment here from Ashley Kennedy, male or female, not sure. Let us know, won't you, Ashley? He's bound to be a bloke, isn't he? He's bound to be a bloke. Most of the majority.
Different question
every week now.
Yeah, I know. You're going to get stressed. Yeah.
Is there a question from a Bill or a John?
Look at what you've done to us. This is your fault, Stu. You and Kase. You've messed us all up.
Oh,
yeah. We've also had a question.
Sorry.
We've also had a question here from Ashley Kennedy, and they ask, do you consider photography a talent or just a skill? So I guess what they're asking is it innate or is it learned or is it a bit of both? We have done this before, haven't we?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain we've discussed this before. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, Ashley. We'll scratch that one. We'll move on to your other one.
Oh, no, I was loving the intro.
Yeah, well, we might keep that in. We'll see. We've got another question. It's fucking ridiculous, isn't it?
Are we not doing that question now?
No, because I'm pretty sure we talked about it. I'm sure we talked about it because it was the same thing as do you have an eye? Is there such a thing as an eye for composition?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we did.
So we've had a couple of questions here from Ashley Kennedy, and in one of them, let it go, all right? Let it go. Okay. We've also had a couple of questions here from Ashley Kennedy, and you've asked, Ashley,
it's gone all Blue Peter now.
Oh, Jesus.
Get down.
It's so difficult, though, isn't it? It's so difficult to know what to do. It's like, I don't want to misgender anyone anymore. Oh, we've had a question from Ashley Kennedy, and they've asked if photography is a talent or a skill, but we've discussed this before. We have definitely when we were talking about the photographic eye. So look back.
What was the conclusion, Gary? Remind us.
I can't remember. I don't watch it. I was probably drunk in that one. But we'll move on to your other question, which was, do you think it's important to continue your hobby or passion, even if it feels like no one's paying attention, i.e., you're not getting much love for your work on social media? I mean, come on. I mean, I'll start with this one. That's a ridiculous question, Ashley. It's a hobby. You're not doing it for other people. You're doing it for yourself, aren't you? It's like you don't go, oh, I wonder if I should go walking in case no one sees me walking. Silly.
Well, you might.
Well, I might, yeah, but
you would be worried.
Yeah,
that's a different matter. No, of course you should carry on your hobbies. Photography is a really subjective thing, isn't it? It's not objective. There is no you reach the next level. You just get to where you want to be, and if you're happy with it, doesn't matter what anyone else thinks or says. You know, that's just the long and short of it. Even though, you know, I had an issue with a troll the other day who made me upset because they said I was boring. That should be irrelevant. It should be how you feel about yourself. So I mean, you guys are going to agree with me. So feel free to agree while I open another beer. But
yeah,
off you go.
Just exactly what Gary said. I think again we've talked about similar stuff to that before as well. But it's just, you know, it's all about the reason you do it, and you know there might be some people out there who do it for the likes, but I know that all of us lot, that's not the reason we do it. We have a love for being out in the landscape. You know, if know what I mean, I take lots of photos. I just don't even share on social media. I spend very little time on social media. And yeah, like even if I didn't have a Facebook, a YouTube, and a Instagram account, I'd still be out there taking photos. I'd be hanging them up and sticking them on my walls. I couldn't really give a monkeys most of the time about.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. I think if you're doing anything for other people, then you're not going to be doing it for very long. I think unless you're incredibly lucky and everyone loves everything you do and you love the attention, there are people out there like that. But I think if you're not doing it for yourself, then the hobby's not going to stick, is it? You know.
If you don't think you're doing well, then maybe you can book yourself in a workshop with Stu or Dave, perhaps. Again, just help improve your photography a bit.
Yeah.
I was hoping for a more diverse endorsement, but I'll take that.
I mean, the thing is, if you're going to do it, I mean, sorry, I was going to shut up, but the thing is, if all you're bothered about is likes, and you're bothered about how you're you know perceived on social media, then you'd be better off like not bothering really about improving your photography and concentrate on buying more likes, you know, going for these people who buy your likes and stuff, because it doesn't. What does it matter? What does it matter if people like your work or not? If it's about if you like your work, Ashley, do you like your work? It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. That's it. I am now going to shut up because you know you guys still need to speak. So
I think you've answered it, Gary.
Yeah,
There's nothing more we can add to that.
yeah.
But I also think it's fair to say that people have different motives for putting stuff on social media. I'm fortunate to run an extremely diverse group of photographers called Mostly Micro Four Thirds Landscape Photography. And quite a few people post quite regularly who are seeking to improve, and they acknowledge that they're finding their feet, and they find that the group, which I do my best to make sure remains as inclusive as possible, we have a really tough rule, just one: don't be an arse. And what that means depends on how arsey you're being. But a lot of people post for a lot of different reasons. We've got some great high quality photographers who post stuff that stops me in my tracks. We've got lots of people who just love the landscape and they just want to share it. And it kind of doesn't matter whether it's a particularly engaging photograph, because it's just a fabulous, nice bit of landscape. And you look at it and go, okay, and you enjoy it for what it is. So I think that it really does depend. And if you're seeking to improve and you're looking for feedback and you're looking to be part of an encouraging social media group, wherever it is, that's a different kettle of fish to how, for example, myself, Stuart, well, any of us really, we might only post our best work. And, you know, we might well have 20 raw files and we edit 3 of them and we post 1 of them, because, you know, why would you post the other 2? You know, they're substandard. In fact, why would you even edit them? But I think that there is a place for people that who are just kind of finding their feet. And I say this from a standpoint of, you know, I think about myself 6-7 years ago when I started to get a bit of traction, insofar as I had an image that did well and it won some competitions. And then after that, I put it on social media and people seemed to like it. And then I put some other stuff up and it was tumbleweed. And it was quite useful because I understood that, you know, don't just post everything. You might like it. But then having got to that point, I was, oh, hang on a minute. I don't care if people don't like it because my mum likes it and I'm sharing it with her, nobody else. As long as she likes it. If she didn't put a thumbs up on, there'd be trouble. I'd be thinking I've been cut out of the will. But as I say, I think that it's very easy just to assume what people's motives are. And if you do that, you run the risk of judging them slightly unfairly. Gary.
Well, I noticed that. I see you looking at me, Dave.
Well, I'm looking into the camera. It could be anybody.
At me.
If the cap fits.
I get what you're saying, but all I'm saying is that social media is a shockingly, it's a real toxic invention in terms of this, isn't it? Because before social media, no one gave a shit about how many likes they got on a photo. They just went out and took photos or did whatever. And then
no, but also no. I'm not buying that. Before social media, somebody who put a photograph, didn't have anywhere to put a photograph out, who now does, and somebody says, "Oh, that's really good. Well done. What a great image." Just this week, somebody did that, and it turns out they only picked up a camera 6 months ago, and they were so encouraged by the feedback they got that, oh, that's really good. So, yes, you're right, Gary. It's a cesspit of iniquity, and it's a nasty, tough place to operate. You know, it's a jungle out there. But at the same time, there's an awful lot of really encouraging people who will help you improve and make you feel better about your hobby. And you get to interact and you get to actually go and meet up with people. We run meetups. So, you know, there's swings and roundabouts. And I think you paint it a bit blacker than it really is.
Yeah, but you just want to fight tonight, don't you?
No, I'm winning, though. It's easy meat,
No. What you're talking about is a whole different thing from what the question was. So,
what was the question? Remind me.
The question was about, well, I need to remind myself now. The question was about, should you stop if you're not getting enough likes on social media? Is it worth doing the hobby? Yeah, look, everyone loves a nice comment, and everyone loves critique, and critique is incredibly valuable, especially when you're first starting. Everyone, craves that, and everyone should crave that because that's the way you learn to do better. But the point, what I'm saying is that if you have a hobby isn't a job. It isn't like how can I put this? It isn't a challenge. It isn't a level. You haven't got to achieve a level in a hobby. You don't have to say, right, well, I can't carry on my hobby because I haven't reached level 3. You carry on your hobby because you enjoy the hobby. You know, photography is way more than just posting a picture on social media. Photography is going out, landscape photography, or any photography in terms of going out, street photography, wildlife photography. It's going out, it's having that really fun day, it's seeing stuff that you don't normally see, it's being out in the open, it's getting a shot that you're happy with. It's you know, it doesn't matter what level that is. So you might be someone who only uses the camera on auto, for instance, and can't, and you know.
You said try not to sound snobby.
No, but you might be just starting out photography. You might not know. You might not have read about the rule of thirds or blah 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 blah. And you just go out and you just take photos because you enjoy.
So what actually is your position? Do post or don't post, or just don't care?
Well, the question wasn't do post or don't post. The question was should I stop the hobby essentially if I'm not getting enough likes? That was the question.
All right, no, not at all. That's ludicrous. What a stupid question.
Well, there you go. So you agree? You agree with what I said?
Can I answer this? Or only the person asking the question knows the answer to it. Because, like Dave saying, everyone has different motivations, and I would say to that person, look inside themselves, ask themselves honestly what it is that motivates them to pick up the camera, and that'll be the answer to the question. If it is, so if they place, you know, a lot of people won't admit to placing social media high on the importance, but it is for a lot of people. It's a massive ego thing, and if your photography is largely wrapped up in that, and I see a lot of photographers that are, then maybe it isn't for them. But if you can genuinely answer the question and say, if social media went tomorrow and I'd still take pictures, then yeah, you would carry on doing it. But only the person asking the question can really know the answer to that. I mean, I've the lad he's gone home now, but Dem, who's was on the trip with me, went home a couple of days ago. He's a good example of this. I mean, he posts like we all do on social media, but he was saying to me he's got a backlog from other trips he's done of about 6 months worth of images that he's took from all these extravagant places that he goes to. And he was saying to me, he can't stand the thought of going and now editing those images because he's solely wrapped up in the experience of doing it. He probably couldn't care less about social media. He's got so many great images that I know he hasn't even put on social media yet because he's so wrapped up in the experience of taking the images, but the actual getting around to processing them and putting them on social media, he finds an absolute nightmare. So he's a good example of that, where, you know, he's just solely wrapped up in the photography, and the social media element is just a complete sideshow to that.
But I think our pastime is kind of unique in some respects. Perhaps the only sort of comparable would be people that particularly like making short movies and they put them on YouTube. But, if you think about the plethora of hobbies that are open to most people. So, for example, fishing. You go, you catch a fish. You might tell a fisherman's tale in the pub, but that's pretty much as far as it goes. You might be into wood turning or cabinet making. Do you know what I mean? You might be into needlepoint, but you don't tell your mates in the pub because you get ribbed. But the point being that whatever you do, you just kind of do. And I think there's too much introspection and navel gazing when it comes to photography, simply because it's very easy to share the output of your hobby. And I think you make a really good point, Stuart. The whole thing about it is if you enjoy A, going to locations, B, taking pictures, C, hiring a studio and a model, whatever type of photography it is, doesn't matter. If you enjoy all of that stuff, that's fine. And I suspect that most people that take up photography don't go to their first camera shop buying experience with a view to what's going to end up on social media. No. They do it because they want to take pictures. And anything that comes after that is it's just a sign of the times. I was taking pictures in 1980 and nobody ever saw them, not even my family, because they couldn't care less. And it suited me just fine to take my pictures and go to my landscapes and develop my slides and my transparencies. So as I say, at the point where you take it up, you're probably not thinking about it in terms of a social media exercise. That tends to come later. And if that then overtakes your initial why you decided to do the hobby, you just need to just stop, take stock and go, look, it really doesn't matter, does it?
Mm. Well, I think you're all very valid, but I'm right. And Ken, this is what happens when you give other people segments, right? I'm just letting you know. This is what happens, right? If someone else were running this now, it would be chaos, Ken. So there you go. Talking about hobby, right? Every time you hear the word hobby, I bet none of you are going to get this. Did you ever watch something? I think it was called Fist of Fun with Lee and Herring. Lee and Herring?
Is that a porno?
No, it was.
I was thinking
Stuart Lee. It was Stuart Lee and Richard Herring.
Yeah, neither of whom are very funny.
No, but they had a guy on it he's been in loads of things. He was in Trigger Point recently. He was in Game of Thrones, and he used to go, and this is my hobby. And he had one, do you remember? And he used to go, I got a weak lemon. No one's following me here, are you? If you watched it, his name was Simon Quinlack in the thing. I've just Googled it.
Gary,
it was really funny. Mate. Oh, mate, it was hilarious. Trust me, it was really funny. You should Google it. Simon Quinlack hobby. Right, it's brilliant. Really funny. Well, I thought it was funny. Anyway, but that was the 90s. So
be careful if you're Googling Fist of Fun now.
No, don't Google Fist of Fun.
I was going to say.
Although Fist of Fun...
I've got to do it now.
No, you should Google it. Google Simon Quinlack and also Google Rod Hull. Rod Hull in Fist of Fun. It wasn't Rod Hull, but it was one of them impersonating Rod Hull, and he had a fake arm, and he like... Anyway, just one of my weird things. Sorry, Jamie, you got a subject, haven't you? You got a topic you want to talk about?
Oh, have I?
Yeah.
Oh, what the one I put in the chat. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if we want to move on to that, then I'm happy
please,
to.
Please move on.
So, a complete non-photography topic, but one that dawned on me the other day because I'm quite superstitious as a person, and I think I get it from my parents. Actually, my mum's really superstitious, and I think I've inherited the gene. So I tend to sort of do weird things when it comes to superstitions, like the classics around the magpie. Yeah, so as a lot of us know, if you see a magpie, then you're going to say, "Hello, Mr. Magpie, have a nice day," or you spit, or you salute it, or you tell him that,
"Hello, Mr. Magpie,
how are your children?
How's your wife and children?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lots of different things you say to a magpie.
Yeah.
And it's all meant to be if you see one magpie, of course, because it's one for
Bad
sorrow
luck.
and then two for joy and all the rest of it. And it's got to a point where I've done that as a kid, or ever since I can remember anyway. And of course, my family now do it. So if we're out in the car, all of us are saluting and spitting and talking to strange black and white birds in the street. So it does come across quite weird. But you do it, and it's weird with a superstition. If you are superstitious, then you just continue to do it because you think if you don't do it, then something bad's going to happen. So it's just one of those things. And things like when I leave the house, if I go out of one particular door, so I leave the house through the front door, I have to come back through that same door. I can't come back to the house through the back door, for instance. I've got to come back through the front door. Are you
confusing superstition with OCD?
OCD.
There could well be a little bit of that in there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the question was clearly, as I've just demonstrated, I'm very weird when it comes to superstitions and things like that. And I just wonder whether you guys were as weird as me, whether you've got any things that you are superstitious about, or whether I'm just the one in the corner that's going to look daft, really.
No, I do the magpie. Though the magpie's gone from when I first started doing it, it was "Hello, Mr. Magpie, how's your wife and children?" Now to "Magpie, wife, children," as you go past, because I can't be bothered with the rest of it. And the other thing that I do, and I don't know, I think this comes from when I was at school, I can't walk over 3 drains. When you've got three drains that are all together, I can walk over 2 of them, but I have to avoid the third. You can't walk over 3 because that's bad luck.
I heard of that one.
Yeah, so
I've heard of the cracks in the pavement.
You get the. I don't do that so much anymore, but I used to. When you get the signs that go overhead. And there's 2 poles. You can't walk in between them either. You've got to walk around them.
Right. It's like walking under the ladder.
Yeah, but it's just a modern day version. So, yeah. Think that's it. I always wear my Peterborough socks for a Peterborough game.
And how are they doing as a result of that?
Well, we're doing all right at the moment, yeah. I mean,
as opposed to somebody in the Premiership or winning the Champions League.
Yeah, I know.
You've been wearing those socks for 40 years and they're still where they are.
It's a load of old rubbish, Dave, but, let me have my superstition, Dave. Do you have any, Dave? I bet you've got none. I bet there's not one, is there?
I haven't, because I'm a rational adult. Move on.
Never expected anything.
There must be something you do, like something just... No?
No.
I've got quite a few.
No.
Go on, Sam.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, Jamie, you're definitely not strange in my book, because I have lots of those sorts of things, but they're not superstitions so much. It's not like, although I'm not a big fan of sort of walking under ladders and breaking mirrors and that kind of thing. And I do touch wood occasionally, but that's
There's a joke there.
trying to keep a straight face.
Fists of fun and touching wood. Bloody hell.
But yeah, so I've got lots of sort of little habits that I do, like just kind of, so every time I go to bed, I have to turn the pillow round, even if I know the pillow's just been positioned fresh. I have to turn it round every time I go to bed. Otherwise, I can't, I can't settle unless I've turned the pillow round. Things like turning, when I finish cooking.
What, like 180 degrees or
180
flip?
degrees? 180 degrees, yeah.
Okay.
Things like when I finish cooking on the hob, I have to touch each of the hob knobs.
That is OCD. You know that
touching
is OCD.
Wood and touching knobs.
It's to make sure. It's to
that
make
is
sure
actually
that
OCD.
Well, yeah, but it's to make sure they're off, because that's my kind of double check of I'll check they're off and I'll touch them all, and then I know that they're off, and I've not walked off and left one on. Yeah, just little things like that.
Don't you know they're off by the fact you didn't turn them on?
No, because I've been using them.
Isn't that a giveaway?
So they've been on. But I'm always really worried about walking off. And
Sam's cuisine is slightly more advanced than yours, Gary.
Yeah, I use one hob. Or a microwave, or a kettle.
But I think I've got
close the microwave door.
Yeah.
Not to bring your subject back onto photography, but I think I've got similar little things when it comes to photography about the way things have got to go into the bag. Order I put things out, take things out, and the order I check all the dials. So it's sort of, it all kind of flows over into a workflow, which doesn't always, but hopefully helps me prevent mistakes when I'm in the field. If I'm, especially, if Hannah's been out doing wildlife photography with the camera, it helps me to go through that process to make sure I've got ISO in the right place, but it's not on a dodgy, setting on the camera. So it's all these little OCD things I think actually help in the long run. That's what I tell myself anyway.
For Stu answers, would you take a picture of a single magpie, Gary, Stu?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
You would?
Yes.
You would? Okay.
Yeah. Only if there was one nearby.
Yeah.
No, I would take it. I'd take a photo of a single magpie. Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't, because my camera's got pro capture, which means that I'm gay, apparently, according to Gary.
I didn't say you were gay. I said, hang on a minute. I said in that video, I said that pro capture's a brilliant thing, right? No, pro capture's a brilliant thing, but it's so easy to use. It's like you realise that it's like when you get a shot without it, it's like you feel like I could never get a bird taken off without it. If I'd got a bird taken off without it, I'd be like, oh my God, what a shot that is.
But
Whereas
would you not prefer to have a
yeah.
picture of a bird taken off than not and go, yeah, but I didn't get it, but I'm hard?
Well, no.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
No, actually, genuinely, I'd rather not have
rubbish.
it. Because,
absolute rubbish. I remember you sat in my sunroom 20 minutes and you were like, oh my God, this camera's so good.
Dave, I'm not saying it isn't good. I'm not saying it's not good, right? It's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. But what I'm saying is that the sense of achievement of getting a shot on a camera that can't do that is higher.
I'm not disputing the sense of achievement, but if that sense of achievement happens one time in 100 and the other 99 with the Olympus, you'd have got the shot.
I think
Which would you prefer?
I think you'll find, though, Dave, that's what I was talking about. I was talking about the sense of achievement. Like I was just saying, it's like, you know, I love.
You're a purist.
Well, I'm not that much of a purist. Otherwise, I'd be shooting it on film. But I love the fact that Pro Capture can do that.
But what is it about wildlife photography? Because I mean, you're not the first person I've heard say this drivel. You know, it's like, oh, my wildlife picture is more validated because it was more of a challenge. Meanwhile, you take a picture of a mountain. No. Oh my God! It was eroding before my eyes, but luckily I had Pro Capture.
I'm not saying that I'm more validated. I'm not saying that I'm validating myself as a photographer because I took it. I'm just saying the sense of achievement for me is more because I got the shot without having the latest technology. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not slagging your system off, Dave.
Oh, you were a bit.
I wasn't. Oh, my God. I was not. Have you had a good week, Dave?
Link in the description below, folks.
I was just having a chilled out talk. That's all I was doing. If I'd known I was offending you, I wouldn't have said it. Oh, my God.
Well, you wouldn't offend me at all, but you notice I didn't comment because I thought, no, better to say nothing.
You should have just put boring, Dave.
Oh, I'll go back and do that.
Yeah, just put boring in, honestly. Works for other people, you know, so what are you going to do? No, I wasn't saying that. Anyway, superstitions. Stuart.
Oh, I haven't got any.
No, right, brilliant. Okay, moving on.
I am terribly forgetful. My short-term memory is absolutely shot to pieces, so I don't know if it's superstition or not, but I have a habit now of whenever I get out of the car, constantly going back and checking it's locked or putting the handbrake on or just stupid stuff like that. But I wouldn't class that as superstitious. I think that's just me being stupid, to be honest. So yeah, but I haven't got any superstitions. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. You know, you're allowed not to. Dave hasn't. You know, so it's totally fine. Other than like every time we come on a Pubcast now, slagging me off. Other than that superstition, Dave.
Gary, there's a fundamental difference in a superstition and a tradition.
Can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. Right, okay. Let's move on to another topic. So, Pro Capture, good or bad? Discuss.
Brilliant. Okay, that's that answered.
No, it is great. Can I just point that out? Because now I feel bad because I feel like I've offended you and maybe other Pro Capture users. It is great. It's just that kind of, I'd imagine if you had it all the time, you'd just be like, oh, you know, it's like imagine getting up every morning and it's a spectacular sunrise every morning. Without fail, you wake up, you live on a mountain, you live on the summit of Snowdon, and every morning on the summit of Snowdon is a spectacular sunrise. You would go, oh, it's another spectacular sunrise. Eventually, wouldn't you? Even though it's amazing, eventually you go, oh, another spectacular sunrise. Can I have some rain or drizzle, please? Something different. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think you'd be more likely to say, I think they should revert it to its original name and make it more difficult to say for visitors.
Yeah. Well, yeah. All right. What's it called?
Rwydva.
Yeah. Rwydva. Imagine you wake up every morning on the Rwydva and it's a spectacular sunrise. You would eventually be bored or you'd want something different. And that's all I was saying with Pro Capture. It's the fact that your camera isn't as good or my camera isn't as good that when you do get the shot, you go, wow, I've got the shot. Because if you get it every time, you know, that's all I was saying. That's all I was saying.
And yet, you were trying to talk Darren into buying one at the previous photo show, I seem to
Yes,
recall.
I was trying to talk Darren into buying one because they were brilliant. But all I was saying is that...
So you wanted to diminish his photography experience. Some mate you are.
God, you're worse than the troll. You're worse than Michael. Honestly, Dave, you're worse than Michael.
This is going to linger. a couple of hours after we finish tonight, there'll be a message in the chat. Dave, did I really, have I really upset you about this pro capture thing?
I will worry about it.
I just want him to make a video about me where he walks through the woods in black and white and rants.
It's great though. Do you know what? Do you know what though? The most frustrating thing about it all, is I will put out a video that I have spent hours, sort of slaving over, edited the photos, and I think the photos are amazing. Or they're not amazing, but for me, they're amazing. And I've done lovely B-roll, and I've driven miles to get there, and it'll get 1,000 views. And I'll walk out, literally that video that I did about that Michael, I just went, I'm not having this. I got in the car, drove 5 minutes down the road, recorded it in 20, about 25 minutes, got back in the car, drove home, put it out the same day, 2,500 views. I'm like, is that someone trying to tell me something? Should I just literally become Mr. Money instead?
That's the platform, though, isn't it? It's always going to be like that.
So I just not bother, Stu, not bother taking photos. I'll just sit and rant. Every week I'll just do a rant about something random.
Well, the question is
the platform, isn't it?
The question is, Gary, if you didn't get the likes on your videos, would you bother taking them?
No, I'd still do them. I didn't do them for the likes in the first place, Sam. But thank you very much for bringing that up. You've brought us round. Oh no, we weren't talking about that. We were talking about superstitions. Let's have one more quick topic before we go. Quick topic, I say. I'm gonna throw this one in because obviously we've been talking about trolls all evening, and I don't want to talk about trolls, but I do want to talk about the negative side of YouTube. So I know Thomas Heaton put out a video this week about why you should, why people can still do YouTube, or should you still do YouTube? And it's a very positive overall video. But let's have a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm getting old, man. I keep forgetting words. But let's just have I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what moan.
You want to moan?
No, I don't want to moan.
When you've got a minute.
No, the opposite. What's the opposite of positive? Negative. Not negative, but a counter argument. That's what I was looking for. Let's have a counter argument to that and say there are some negatives of being on YouTube. So, we're not going to talk about it for ages, but let's talk about the negative side of YouTube. What have you found since you started YouTube that you don't like, rather than all the stuff that you do like? Because there's loads of stuff we do like about doing it. Obviously, otherwise we wouldn't do it. But what are the downsides of it? What are the pitfalls of it?
Oh, that's easy. It's all the autographs and nipple slips on the red carpet. No, I'm just going to spit it out. I would say there's no negatives. There really isn't. If you have negatives, you're making them up in your own head. I saw the Tom Heaton video, and it's the first video of Tom's I've commented on in probably 12 months.
You're killing the conversation, Dave. You're like, literally, if you let us have negatives. Let us. Well,
you can shoot me down in flames after I've set myself up for it.
Go on.
But I it's purely personal. But the people that watch my stuff and write in and thank me for it and whatever else they might do, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. It's life affirming. And I enjoy the process of making videos. I like that people don't give me too much earache, even though I'm slightly sporadic, because they understand that I do other stuff. I wouldn't go back to not being on YouTube. I really, really enjoy it. And I think that if you turn it into some kind of hard work or some sort of burden, you probably just should knock it on the head and go do something more interesting. But for me, I think it's fabulous. And I think we're lucky. I think for the most part, we operate in, and we've talked about it right when we came in, that the sort of people that are interested in landscape photography are people like us, which means that we have a kind of immediate affinity with the people that watch our videos. So, because we're not some angst-ridden Generation Z imbecile, we can put our stuff out there, and for the most part, people enjoy it. And even when you get the odd negative comment, Gary, you just use it as a springboard to have a bit of fun. Yes, and it is nothing more than a bit of fun. And if the person who left the comment that triggered that video looks at it and goes, well, I'm now horribly offended, then you would say, if you were a fly on his wall, brilliant, well done.
Exactly.
So who loses? Nobody.
Yeah.
But I think that YouTube is, if you approach it with the right mindset, is brilliant. And I think that what Tom had to say this week was really good. I liked that he was being really, really encouraging. And it's very easy with somebody with 570,000 subscribers and 50, 60,000 views per video to almost appear a bit high and mighty. And Tom doesn't do that at all.
No,
he was trying to say to people, give it a go. What have you got to lose? And he made the point several times. I started with nothing. You know, my mum and my gran and my dog watch my videos. And you know, we've all been there. Every single one of us has put videos out when we first started, you know, your first 10, your first 20 videos, and you got into double figures on the views, and, you know, you were tumescent. So you just got to look at it and go, let's be happy.
Do you know what I didn't like about Tom's video, though? I didn't like this.
Yeah, but he was sitting at a desk. He had to make it dynamic.
Stop zooming, Tom. Stop zooming all the time. But the zoom was like, do a zoom. All right, do a zoom, but do one. Don't do like, 2, 3, and then back, and then forward. And then... It's like, come on, man. Seriously. But I did like it. But I will say with Tom, I really enjoyed it. And actually, he made some very good points. But it's really easy to say that when you're one of the very first ones out there. And you know, suddenly you've exploded because it's not such a saturated market. It's hard to do it now. It's harder. You know, you won't see.
But he
another...
no, you're being unfair because he made the point that it's tough going and you've got to push through and you've got to be consistent.
I don't care.
What he was saying was, don't look at me as an example. Just do it for your own enjoyment. And I think he made a good point coming from his place of superiority.
I watched it. I don't generally watch much of his videos, but with being having a lot of time here, I've watched a bit of YouTube this way. I watched his video.
Hang on a minute. Earlier on, you said you haven't watched any videos at all. You didn't watch the Pubcast.
No, I didn't watch. You've got me to lie here.
Busted.
It's the only thing I haven't watched. I've watched a lot of Netflix actually, but no, I watched that video the other night actually, and I agreed with a lot of the sentiment. I do think, just to provide a little bit of balance to it, though, I do think some of it was a bit naive. I mean, he was suggesting, you know, putting a video out every week and all that. That's totally unrealistic for 90% of people, I would say. So some of it's, you know, the sentiment behind the advice is good, but I thought some of it was a bit unrealistic, to be honest. But I do have a negative to YouTube, actually, in that I've enjoyed putting the videos together a lot more than I thought I would. But the big negative for me is the effect it has on my actual photography. Even just today, I mean, I've filmed probably enough stuff to do maybe 2 or 3 videos from here, but I went out tonight for the first time in a couple of days without a video camera, and the whole experience was just so much more enjoyable. And I could actually concentrate fully on the photography. Now, it depends what approach you have. I mean, I still regard myself very much as just purely a photographer that does a bit of video on the side. If you're doing what he's suggesting, which is an all-encompassing video experience where you're building a whole story around it, that's a totally different thing to me, to be honest. I don't believe you could. He was suggesting in that video that, you know, it can improve your photography, and you know, my own experience as a professional photographer, I can't see how it can improve your photography. I can only see it as a detriment to it. Now, I can only speak from my own experience. I'm not going to say that's the case for everyone, but for myself, I enjoy a lot of aspects of putting videos together, and I enjoy the video editing and all of that. But the actual effect it has on my stills photography is always a negative. I nearly always feel like I come back from shoots that I've videoed where I've missed stuff. And like tonight when I was shooting, I didn't feel like I missed anything. I had time to actually get round all the compositions that I'd planned, shot them all as best I could, and then I came away from there and I was like, right, well, I gave everything a good go there. If I was doing video around it, 3 of those shots that I took tonight, I wouldn't have even got near because I just wouldn't have had the time to do it. So swings and roundabouts.
I think he made a point in the video as well around that, and that point he made actually hit home to me in terms of when you go out, you decide yourself whether you're going to go out on a photography trip or if you're going to go out to make a video about photography, and there's a distinct difference between the two. And I think that's where I fell into the trap a lot lately. I've gone out to take pictures or the intent to take some pictures and taken the video camera with me, and I've always just left the video camera in the bag and just carried on taking pictures because I just couldn't be asked to get the video camera out and start filming. I've just concentrated on taking pictures. But I think what he was saying was if you set yourself up from the very beginning that I'm going out to shoot a video about my photography day out, then you've got that mindset already in your head that you're there to tell what you're doing, why you're going there, where you're going, why you're taking these shots and the rest of it. And what you're creating is very much focused on making the video, not taking the pictures. And that did make a little bit of sense to me.
Yeah, I got that bit. And that's, while good advice, that has to be put in the context of most of the people watching that are going to be hobbyists who do it at a weekend.
Correct.
So you've got Saturday to Sunday, you're pretty time limited. Are you then going to go, right, I need to produce a weekly video when I have 2 days at a weekend to shoot, and I'm going to basically give up all my photography-centric attention, I guess, and just build it all around video? Because like you're saying there, you're going out and going, right, I'm just going to bin the video, I'm just doing the photography. Well, if you do that, according to his advice, you may as well write off half of the weeks that you were going to video because you're not going to have the time to do it. So it's all I would say. I think the sentiment in that video was really good, and it's positive and all of that, and that I certainly wouldn't knock him for. But I think a bit of it was sort of a bit naive, maybe, and maybe a little bit out of touch with reality.
I entirely accept what you're saying to the point of getting started and finding your feet. But he did make the point that it becomes easier as you get more experienced. And I'll be honest, if I go out these days and I do a photo shoot, I don't think to a huge degree my photography suffers because making a video is now so routine that I know I need 9 shots for each image so that I've got enough to work with. And it kind of becomes muscle memory a little bit. And he did make that point. He qualified what he was saying.
Yeah. What I would say to that, though, is that your style of video is very much like mine, isn't it? In that you're just kind of doing the photography and you're just sort of fitting the stuff around it. You're not doing necessarily what he's doing, which is filming endless B-roll in a camper van and then endless B-roll around this and endless B-roll around that and putting it all together as a coherent story. That's a totally different set of skills. If you're going to do that week after week,
Are you saying my video is slightly less high quality than Tom's? No, actually, to be fair, you're absolutely right. I have attempted that full storytelling from here I am pulling up in the car park. You're right. That is.
I could do that. I've no interest in doing that because
neither.
That's not how I make money. His model of making money is very different. He's not living and dying really by the quality of his work. He's making stories in videos.
Yeah,
that's a totally different thing to me. I don't think that's possible for Joe Bloggs who goes out on a Saturday and a Sunday.
Yeah,
I think we need to get him on to examine this in more detail. I wonder if perhaps we've invited him on in the past and he hasn't been able to make it for some reason.
We have, and I was good. Well, because he doesn't like us. I would say that.
I think he doesn't like me.
Well, no,
specifically.
I don't think he should. It's probably more.
I should just say, just before I finish though, I should just say, having watched the video, I think it's a good video and the sentiment in it is really good and it's positive in tone and I certainly can't knock that.
I think what we'll do actually is we'll because we're coming up to, we've done over 100 videos now, but we're coming up to our 100th video in virtual space, because a few of them were together, and then there was a couple of others which were, you know, a couple on site, and then there was one where James was doing a bit of poetry. So I think we're really close to our actual 100th video. So and maybe, I mean, look, he's not watching. Why do I do this? He's not watching.
Gary,
he's not
just
watching
leave
us.
the lad. Just leave the lad.
Yeah, he's not watching. He's not coming on.
Shoot.
Well, that was a really good conversation, but we've managed to just basically spend 25 minutes or 20 minutes talking about Thomas Heaton's video. We were supposed to be talking about the negatives of YouTube.
I gave a negative though. I
think, I mean, negatives in terms of YouTube, to be honest with you, I think the biggest negative that I found was when you get to about 1,000 subs and you suddenly start almost like be a bit of a slave to it. You want to put out videos every week, and you're looking at your numbers, and you're looking at all of this, and you're looking at monetization and all of that. And that for me was the biggest negative. That really killed the enjoyment for me for quite a while. Now, I'd imagine that a lot of people do that. A lot of people. You probably didn't actually, in all fairness, Dave, because you're not that character. You're just like, I'm just going to do it. But a lot of people get to about 1,000, 1,500 subs, and suddenly it's all about, oh, what can I do next? How can I make money out of it? How can I have brand endorsements over it? How can I do reviews? And how can I do that? And everybody, I don't think there's many people who don't fall into that trap, to be honest with you. Who don't fall into that trap.
Apart from Stu went out the traps like a greyhound.
See,
and
when
that was backed with his credibility as a photographer.
Exactly.
That's why he went.
When Stuart, no, but when Stuart was talking about Thomas Heaton and talking about like the way that it's totally different for you, Stu, because you were an award-winning photographer before you went on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And so yours is a whole different, it's like a different path. It's a different like trajectory on YouTube. Whereas the rest of us, we were sort of just everyday hobbyists on YouTube. And it's really easy to, I think you start to get, certainly me, and I'll hold my hands up 100%. I fell into the trap of, people are watching me and I can make money out of this, and I can do this and I can do that, and I can, and eventually you do go through that phase and come out the other side and you're like, oh, I can't be bothered. But that for me was the worst bit of YouTube. From about 1,000 subscribers to about 1,500, whatever, that sort of period of time when you're just chasing the numbers, chasing the algorithm, and trying to get as many brands as you can. I mean, I'll hold my hands up. I messaged brands and said, can I review your stuff? I did, Dave. I did. And I'm not proud of it. But I did. I thought that I was, but then because of my personality, because of the way that I feel, I suddenly went, well, why am I doing that? I'm shit. And so then you start to dip and you, whereas if I'd have just gone, I'm just making videos for myself all along, I would have been a lot happier person.
Tom's advice in that video was good in that sense. He did say, look, don't chase it. Just put videos out that you're focusing on a small group who watch you regularly and just produce stuff that you want to produce. And that is good advice. I mean, that's all I try and do anyway. But,
it's great advice, but there's the vast majority, I would say,
won't take any notice of it though.
The vast majority are in my camp. The vast majority would chase views at that point. Definitely, 100%.
It's just human nature, isn't it? That if you've got that sort of threshold, that even I've been looking at John Gibbs's channel, and John's a great photographer, and he's been pushing his own channel recently to get himself over a threshold, and so when it comes to a highly qualified photographer such as John having to do that, anybody, once they get to a point where they think, oh, I really want to get over this next milestone, I really want to push it, then it does become a little bit of pressure on you to to get out there, put more videos out, put more shorts out, making sure you're getting as much views as you can to get you over there. It's just human nature, so I think we've all been there.
And while we're on the subject, Ulanzi sent me this. They literally sent me this. It's a little grip, look, for your phone. Look, and it's got a look. You can take this off, this little bit off here, and it's like a Bluetooth, so you can make your phone take photos while it's off. And they also sent me this out of the blue, by the way, Ulanzi. Thank you very much. Out of the blue. I mean, I did ask to participate in their scheme, but look, and they also sent me this as well, a little light, which also clips onto your phone. Look, so look, you can have it on your phone. There's a little thing. So.
Oh, you're going to make so much use of those early morning shoots, aren't you? Bit of fill light.
Fucking useless, really.
I could just see that ring light reflecting in your eyes when you're on TikTok doing a funny dance.
What I really wanted from Ulanzi is they do this thing that connects to the back of your phone, and then you could put it flips over, and you can get like a variable ND, so you can properly.
They sent you the wrong thing, mate.
They sent me this shit instead. That sounds terrible. Thank you. I will review it at some point.
I'm going to write to them and say, watch this pubcast, you Lancy. You'll see what really goes on behind the scenes. I'm filming the screen. You can't cut it out.
Dave, I won't cut it out. I'm not proud. I'm not proud. No, but going back to YouTube, that's probably the biggest. And also do you know the other thing, right? The other thing is some of the people that you've been wrong about, that you know from YouTube, and that's really upset me, is when I thought someone was someone they weren't. And that's life. That's life as well, but it's magnified in YouTube. The people you meet through YouTube, and you think they're your friends, and you really think that they are on your side, and they're your mates, and then they disappear when they get a few more numbers. And that really that honestly, and I'm not going to name any names, but that really disappointed me. It really upset me, because upset me partly because I like them, but also upset me because I was so wrong about them. And everyone can sit there now thinking, who's he on about? And I'm not going to tell you.
Can I
well, that's killed it, hasn't it?
Just had a notification. I've just had a notification that John Gibbs has actually gone over 1,000 subscribers because he's just released a short about it. So well done, John. Good stuff.
Well done, John.
Well done, John. Well done, John.
Good lad, John.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, John, and he deserves all the success he gets.
I know him quite well. He's a good lad.
Yeah. And he watches us, doesn't he, I think? So well done. Well done. And, yeah. Go watch John's videos. So is that like
a first, live on air? One of our mates goes 1,000 subs. Yeah, the thing is, you're right. He's a nice bloke. He's also an absolutely top drawer photographer, which I think is more important. I'll put up with you being a git if you're a good photographer, and I enjoy your work. But no, well done, John. That's great news.
Yeah,
I think he's got a good. His channel as well is very down to earth. As Stu will know, as he's known him longer than probably most of us, that he's that type of character. He is what he is, and he's never going to pretend to put any airs and graces on. And he comes across as just a genuine nice bloke. That you're going to enjoy watching. He's
also a brilliant exponent of photographing marram grass.
Yeah,
everything I know about that particular skill, I learnt from John. So thanks a lot, mate. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I like your stuff.
Right, Sam. Unless you've got any negatives to say about YouTube, I think we're going to wrap up.
Well, I don't realize. I would really just echo everything Dave said. I thought Dave was absolutely spot on. 100% agree with everything he said on that. I did really enjoy Tom's video, and I think I sort of agree with your point as well, Gary, with the slight dip that goes on when you get to that stage where you start looking at the analytics and you start worrying about subscriber numbers, because we do all go through it. I talk now about how I don't give a monkeys, and I don't give a monkeys now, but there's definitely been times in the past where I've gone through stages of worrying about it. And it plays on your mind if you're not putting out videos regularly. And then you start to get stressed about it. And then one bad comment can really knock you for 6. But having said all of that, I completely agree with Dave. I think all of the good things of YouTube completely outweigh the negatives by about 100 to 1 for me. So it's definitely something I never regret doing, and it's something I'll continue to do, maybe sporadically, but I don't mind. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to continue putting out 2 videos a week for eternity.
Okay, we need to say goodnight because Stuart is desperate to get out with the camera. His body language is get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I know. I was about to wrap it up, to be fair.
I can see some green moving outside.
Thank you so much for joining us this week, folks. I'm not doing the intro, but I'm doing the outro. Stuart, go and shoot that Aurora, mate. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, everybody, for watching us. We'll see you not next week, the week after. Take care.
Yeah, because we'll be in a photography show, so come
Shut
and say
up,
hello.
Gary, I'm doing it.
Love it.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Right, lads, it's always a pleasure. I've got to go.
Yeah, go on,
See
Stu.
you.
See you
No
later,
worries,
mate.
Stu. Enjoy,
Well
mate.
done.
See ya.
Well done.
You notice there how the real photographers are empathetic to each other's plights.